Today's question is, what is mysticism? By this, we mean mysticism in the way that Islam understands it, and we also talk about Sufism. It is quite likely that you have heard the word mysticism before, but you possibly don't know as much about the word Sufism. In everyday language, we sometimes think of mysticism as being some vague spiritual belief. The technical meaning is that greater knowledge of God is possible through contemplation, through focus. Now, if you look up the meaning of Sufism, it simply tells us that it is a mystic body of religious practice or a mystical form of Islam. Well, in Islam, we can define these terms in a clearer way. Mysticism is described as the path that can take man to his highest possible level of character, and Sufism, which also refers to a form of piety, is especially used to describe people who dedicated themselves to God in seclusion from society, in particular orders, living as separate communities. Historians such as Ibn Nadim refer to the origins of Sufism as going back to the 2nd century after Hijrah, the immigration of the Muslims from Mecca to Medina around the 8th century CE, which is when the name Sufi was first used. The first Sufi was a man called Abu Hashim al-Kufi from Palestine, who lived in a community of like-minded Muslims devoting themselves to the worship of God. The word Sufi itself derives from the word Sufiya, meaning wool. The Sufis rejected wearing fine and expensive garments and instead wore simple clothes made of coarse wool. Now, when we talk about the mystics in Islam, we are referring more to a particular kind of intellectual and spiritual endeavor. The mystics in Islam are not viewed as a social group because they weren't really segregating themselves from society. It was not something they were prescribing, although they definitely favored a simple lifestyle. Sometimes the word wayfaring is used in mysticism to emphasize the spiritual journey man undertakes to get closer to God. This journey is famously split into different stations along the way, and one of them is called wakefulness or yaqda in Arabic. Muslims are warned not to spend their lifetime being asleep and then waking up only when they die. As Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, puts it, the people are asleep and wake up when they die. This first stage of wakefulness means that the human being is supposed to wake up from the slumber of being unaware in his life, not knowing who he is or what is he meant to be doing. He should become more focused toward the remembrance of God, and he should not be so attached to worldly things. This also means that the person can be more aware of sins and better avoid them, which is essential. With the whole goal of this journey being closeness to God, the only way to reach this goal is for man to avoid sins. It is said in the Quran that only a pure soul can relate to the reality of the Holy Book. No one touches it except the pure ones. It is also said that the mystics receive special knowledge that other people who are immersed only in their day-to-day matters cannot access. According to the Islamic traditions, God would make such people hear his words and the words of his angels, and he would reveal to them the secrets that he has hidden from his creation. A beautiful concept related to mysticism is what is called mystic love. What is meant by this is that the mystic is able to disassociate himself from love for worldly things to such an extent that he truly has love only for God. Even when he does love things other than God, then that too is only for the sake of God, for being closer to God. A saying by Ali ibn Abi Talib, peace be upon him, the son-in-law of Prophet Muhammad, who later became his 4th caliph, explains this really well. I saw nothing except that I saw God before it, with it, and after it. A famous poet and Islamic scholar associated with mysticism was Rumi, as he is known in the West. One of his mystical sayings is that the end is the return to the beginning. You might ask yourself how we can relate mysticism to our modern lives. Ask yourself, what is, for example, meditation, other than total focus and disassociating from what is around us? That applies to material things, but also to habits, such as worrying too much about things. Living life with more intentionality, asking ourselves what our path is in this life, being mindful of how we behave surely adds more meaning to it, doesn't it?